Hey, welcome everyone. And again, if you have any questions, if anything comes to mind, if there's anything you want to work on specifically, either drop it in the chat or just go ahead and text Christy or I. You know, you can, if you're in a position where you have to voice text it, that's fine. Voice auto text or whatever. Or you just might want to have that note for yourself as well. You just might want to have that for later as well. But I appreciate you guys being here. We're going to go ahead and get started. So this week's mindset coaching is on attention, and I'll explain what I mean by that. So if time is more valuable than money, then attention is more valuable than time. Okay, so nothing is more valuable than your attention. You'll hear people say like, oh, there's nothing more valuable than time. But there is something more valuable than time, because you can take two different perspectives. So I've actually heard these two different perspectives from the same church sermon meeting. Okay, and so the first perspective was this. So these two people were in the same place at the same time, listening to the same person speak. And there were two different comments made. Like one comment was, oh, that was so spiritual. Like every word was meant for me. I felt that deep in my soul. You know, my mind just won't quit working through that. I was learning so much in those moments, right? So that's one person's perspective. And again, same time, same place, same church, same sermon, all of that, same speaker. But the second person had a really different perspective. The second person said, oh, I just got nothing out of that today. Like, I heard babies crying. I was hot. The speaker's voice had this high-pitched, nasally, sing-songy thing going. I just couldn't get past it, and I just kept fidgeting in my seat, right? So two different people, but they were in the same place, same time, same sermon. And so just to recap, because a couple of us have joined the last few seconds, but if time is more valuable than money, then attention is more valuable than time. Nothing is more valuable than your attention, where your energy goes, right? Because if two people can have the same overall experience in the same setting, but two very different perspectives, and that says something about the difference between those two people's attention, right? And so if you had to, using that illustration, so I used the illustration of two people being in the same place, hearing the same thing, and one person saying, man, every word of that was meant for me. I really felt that. My mind won't quit working on that. That just burned deep in my soul. And the second person goes, oh, I just got nothing out of that. All I heard was babies crying. I was hot, just couldn't quit fidgeting in my seat. And the speaker's voice just so nasally, I just couldn't get past it, right? So if you had to illustrate what commenter number one and commenter number two looked like in their seat listening to that, how would you illustrate that differently? And if you had to think about what person number one and person number two's schedule looked like right before going to that speech or that sermon, what would person number one's schedule look like? What would person number two's schedule look like? How would you illustrate those differently? And if you had to think about person number one's mindset before she got there, and person number two's mindset before she got there, what would that look like? How would those be different? So we can start to see some very different formulations for two different people, even though they went to the same time and space, right? And so now the big question is, do you think that person number two, the person who had the negative experience, was as prepared to receive as person number one? Do you think that person number two was as open as person number one? And then why? You know, if we have to think about what person number one's schedule looked like leading up to that, and what person number two's schedule looked like leading up to that, and the mindset for both of those people, that's where we start formulating like, oh, number two, like she's stressed. You know, there's some stuff going on with her. There's some stuff going on in her life, right? Because she got this really negative experience. And person number one, she was like able to put all those distractions out and focus. How did she do that? How did she get such a profound thing happening, right? And so let's turn that inward. Again, getting your attention right is your more valuable asset, because those people had the same time. You know, again, we will hear people say time is your most valuable resource. No, it's not. It's what you do with your time. It's where you are in your mind at the time. It's where your attention goes to. It's where your focus goes. Because those two people had the same time, but their experiences were extremely different. And so if we turn that to us, like if we turn that inward, let's take that sermon and let's take that away and replace that with a loved one. So we might choose a spouse. We might choose a child. We might choose a best friend, a parent, whatever, whoever. But that's the person who's getting our attention, okay? And if we take it and make it personal like that, and we don't, here's the cool thing. You don't get to choose what the experience is. The person you're giving your attention to gets to reiterate that. So if the person you give your attention to, whether it's a child, a spouse, a parent, a best friend, whoever, gets to now illustrate what your morning was like before spending an hour with them, what your schedule was like before spending an hour with them, same hour, illustrate you, how would that person draw that? Like if you chose your child, for example, would your child draw you on your cell phone? Because even though you gave them an hour of your time, your attention was here, right? Would your best friend and you draw a picture of you with your arms around each other with smiles on your faces? Or would it be something else? And so that's why our attention, not our time, it's our attention is our most valuable resource. And therefore, what you are capable of giving your attention to and how much you give your attention to it is 100% up to you. So some things leading up to that, where we want to give our energy, where we want to give our focus, that's what our lives will look like. Where we are right now, how we look, how the clothes in our closets are hanging, the car we drive, everything in our lives, the experiences that come to us. What if we've created every bit of that? What if we have created every bit of that? The direction our clothes hang, how things are organized, what's in our junk drawers. Oh, there's a big analogy, right? What if we are 100% in control and have created that? So some things leading up to that, we can't pour from an empty cup, you know? So if we all have these goals and we want certain things, well, what does our junk drawer look like? Does that need to be cleared out first before we can have the goal, you know? And we can't do for others. So we're talking about ourselves, but can we even do for others when we can't pour from an empty cup, right? Can we even do from others when we don't have our basic needs met? When our mind is all over the place, when we are fidgeting in our seats, where all we can see are the distractions, can we really reach a weight loss goal? Can we really transcend having cravings and distractions and not just grabbing for the food and mindlessly eating it, the convenience food? If we don't have the foundations, that doesn't seem really practical, right? Like going back to those two women with that same experience, with that same sermon, goodness bless number two's heart, you know? I've been there, I've been her, right? We've been both of those people, all of us, but what did we do to be the first person? And what do we do if we're the second? That's 100% up to us. And so to review, we can't do for others when we don't have enough and room to spare for ourselves. And so this is all about, that's what the mindset stuff is all about. It's getting us right so that we can do best for ourselves. And when we do best for ourselves, that's only when we can help others, right? Because if we're helping, quote unquote, helping others, but we really don't have it to give, what does that look like? What does my junk drawer look like? It is full and overflowing, and it's not going to be able to hold much else. Are you with me on that? It's not going to be able to hold much else. It's going to fill and overflow and spill, and I'm not going to be any good to anybody. And so that's why for the last couple of weeks, we've been getting to this point. So the first thing in review, what I've asked you guys to do, and if you haven't done this, just go back to it. And I'm going to give you today's I'm giving you the exact formula for how to fit this in and where to fit this in. Because that's the other thing, like, okay, sure, okay, yeah, I know, but I don't even want to listen to that because I don't even have time for what you're saying. So today is cool because today is how I'm showing you how to make time for this. We're not going to push extra time into your schedule. We're not going to ask you to do extra things. We're going to take what you're already doing and back out some stuff. We're going to clear the junk drawer, so to speak, and put room in there for things that need to be there. We're going to sharpen the axe. Have you guys heard that analogy? I think I went over this last week, but the two men who were asked to chop wood, and the one who chopped the most wood would get the pay for the day. They both wanted the pay, so they were both willing to do it. Well, the one had the strategy of just chop. He was just going to chop wood nonstop, no matter how bad his hands hurt, no matter how bad his arms hurt. He needed the money, so he was just going to go at it. Number two had a different strategy. He also chopped wood. He really needed the money as well, but he would stop and he would go off into the woods. And the first guy thought the second guy was crazy because he's like, what's that guy doing? He's not even here half the day. He keeps going off into the woods. Well, the second guy at the end of the day had far more wood than the first. He had far more to show for. He's the one who got paid. And what he was doing, the first guy asked him, you weren't even here. How do you have more than me? And the second guy said, oh, I was off sharpening my axe. So he stopped all the monotony. He stopped all the go, 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 go. And he went and sharpened his axe, thereby giving himself a much more efficient and effective load, right? And so this is what we've been doing these past few weeks to review. The first thing you have to do is you have to know who you are. Like, you have something unique and wonderful about you that you are able to give to this world, that you are able to get much fulfillment from. And so that's what I call your superpower. So what is your superpower? So we have this mindset coaching talking about your superpower and how to find that. All right, so we're going to go back to that. I'm going to show you how to implement that, not to do extra, but just how to implement that if you don't have it yet. And then you not only have to know what your superpower is, what you do better than anybody else, what you can create an expertise with, but you also have to know what to do with it. Like, well, what's your purpose then, you know? Why are you here? What have you got that no one else has? What do you give special? And then how do you use that? Finding your superpower is one thing, but how do you use it? Because that's how we have fulfillment. That's how we want to keep going in this world, is knowing what our purpose is. So my superpower, the thing I do better than anybody else that I can create an expertise with, and this is something I've come to understand over the years, but it's seeing people at their potential. It's seeing people at their truest best self. And I never knew I was doing that, but I've come to know that that's a special thing that I have. I see people at the level, at their potential level, right? And so when friends and things hang around me, then activities are elevated and actions are elevated and words and output, you know, because who doesn't want to be at their best? Who doesn't want to be in an environment where they can be at their best? And it also serves as a protection, because people who don't want that don't typically want to hang around me because I see them at a whole different level. And if I see that, then they get really uncomfortable if they don't want that, you know, right? And so that means that I have, if I know you, you're awesome. You know, you have, like, you really want to progress and grow and do great things in the world. And so I've asked you to find your superpower. Like, what is it about you that you do that's different than anyone else? And then I have that whole mindset coaching on how to figure that out. And then your purpose, like, what do you do with that? You know, what are you meant to do with that? Because that's what gives you, that's what's more than happy. That's what's more than happiness, is when you're actually fulfilled, because hard times are going to come no matter what. So the second thing is, then you have to establish a routine, because so what if you know what you're good at and how to do that for yourself and for others? You have to establish a routine, or again, that junk drawer just keeps getting so full and you really feel like you're not serving your purpose. You know, you did a bunch of stuff, but you really didn't accomplish anything today. You can feel like that if you're not living your purpose, right? And so those are the two things we've done in the past couple of weeks with the mindset, is we've gotten clear on who we are and on how we use that in this world. And a lot of times you're doing it and you don't even know it. So you just have to ask your friends, but go back to that mindset coaching, because it'll teach you how to do that, how to get clear on that. And then you've got to establish a routine. You have to have bold goals. You have to have something to do, and then you got to stick to it. Otherwise, again, You're going to be putting out fires. You're going to be dealing with the junk drawer and never really get to what you're good at. And then how are you serving anyone? You're not being fulfilled. You're not feeling fulfilled. That's when we grab the sweets because I want to feel better. And you know what? That ice cream bar makes me feel better for a hot dang second, at least, you know? So you have to establish a routine. You have to stick to it. And then this week is, how do we implement that? So here is your outcome. Here are your outcomes for this week. Here's what I want the feedback on. So here's how I want your morning routine to go. And this can be one day this week. It can be 2 days this week. You're actually going to come up with a commitment for how many days this week you're going to be able to do this. And it might just be like, you know what, I'm going to set that up today and I'm going to try it tomorrow. And that's all I'm committing to this week. That's okay. That's okay. That's what I want you to do, is just set a commitment, just set a goal. But a lot of us use a 30-minute workout time block in the morning or every other day. Here's what I want you to do. On your off day, when you're not doing that 30-minute workout, I want you to implement this. And I'm going to give you the formulation here in just a second. Christy's going to drop it in the chat, so we'll all have it. It'll also be uploaded into our VIP member portal, so you can review it and write it down. It'll be all there for you. I also am inviting you to, if you work out every day, or if you're like, sure, I don't have time on my off days. On my off days, I do other stuff. Okay. Then you're going to sharpen your axe. Then you're going to take your 30-minute workout, let's say for tomorrow, and you're going to do a 5-minute movement. And we formulated those. They're amazing. There's all this research, you guys, about how you just need movement, how you just need breath, and how you can get it all in 5 to 15 minutes. So what if one day you don't do your big 30-minute workout, you do the 5-minute concentrated workout that we give you, and then you spend the other 25 minutes sharpening your axe. I didn't ask you for more time. We're just using one of your 30 minutes this week more effectively. We're sharpening your axe. Are you with me on that? Is that okay? Mm-hmm. So here's what you're going to do. The first 5 minutes is going to be movement, and we've given that to you. We've given you videos. They're going to be uploaded. I had to redo some of those, so they're going to be uploaded in the portal, but super easy. Day 1, day 2, day 3. Again, I'm just asking for you to do at least one of these. 5 minutes, that's it. And trust me, we've done them, and we're like super huffy and puffy afterwards, and that's all you need. It's okay to do this. 5-minute movement, we've given that to you. And then you're going to do your 5-minute superpower. And that means you're going to use that mindset video that I did on superpowers. You're going to listen to 5 minutes of it and just think through it for 5 minutes. I give you the tools on that. So 5 minutes for that, and that's it. You can do more later. So thinking about your superpower for 5 minutes. When I read mine, because I write it down and read it, when I read it, I realize, oh, that's perfect. Or, oh, this word needs to be tweaked. You know, just like you do when you write a paper for school. You know, you do several revisions. That's okay. It's okay to have a messy first draft. But spending 5 minutes, setting a timer, and you're done. The next 5 minutes is going to be your power and purpose statement, what you do with your superpower. And I don't care, like I worked on this for years, you guys. So again, be okay with the first outline, be okay with the first draft, because this is years of me getting to this point. I still read my purpose every single day. I still read it. And I read it in front of the mirror looking at myself, because I have found that that is even more effective. That can make you cry. That can make you, you know, really get in touch with what the heck you're doing. So reading your superpower, reading your power and purpose statement, why, you know, what you do with your superpower, your power and purpose statement, that's what that is, what you do with your superpower. And then you spend some time making your schedule for the day. And you put that in, I use my phone for that. I get the notifications. You put that into your calendar. And then you spend 5 minutes envisioning that. That's a powerful tool. That's getting it right with you and the universe. That's getting it right with you and God, whether you say universe or God or whatever. For me, I say God. And so I envision that in a prayerful sense, you know, in a prayerful meditative sense. Like, is this the right thing to do today? Here's how I envision this going. If I want the best day possible, because I know the universe wants me to have the best day possible, this is how it's going to look. Does that mean it's going to go exactly according to plan? I'll tell you what, when you do this every day, it goes according to plan way more than you think. It actually even goes better because you have someone else on your side. So there's your 30 minutes. Again, I'll say this again, 5 minutes moving, and we've done that for you. You just have to watch. 5 minutes working on your superpower, and your power and purpose statement. So that's writing them, reading them out loud, saying them, however you use that 5 minutes. It's 5 minutes working on your goals. Those are the things that come to your mind as you're reading your power and purpose statement that you want to do with your life, or maybe just your day. And then 5 minutes schedule for the day, making sure your schedule for the day is outlined, and then 5 minutes envisioning it, like getting meditative with that. Because as you think through, things will, it's so powerful. Things will come to mind like, oh, that's actually not going to go that way. You're probably going to want to tweak it like this. You know when you envision that, you know when you think through it. And you think through it in the way that is the best possible outcome. So that's what's really cool about it too. Because as you think through about the best possible outcome, you'll have even better ideas or better little tiny ways to tweak it and make any needed adjustments. Guys, if you use a 30-minute time block like that, even once a week, you will have such a huge improvement to your day. You will have such a huge improvement to your life. And I'm not going to promise you, but I'm going to bet that you'll want to implement more of these power blocks in your morning than less. That you'll come to want to sharpen that axe more than just going and say, oh, I don't have time, let's just go. And I'm giving you 100% permission to do that in place of a 30-minute workout. Because if you put full 5 minutes of intensity in and then you sharpen your axe for 25 minutes, you are not going to be worse off. You're going to be more solid, more clear, have a better foundation, feel more empowered, and you are going to have such a better day when you do that. The first time it may be messy, the first time you may be frustrated, the first time you may be, oh, I want more than 5 minutes. You're going to have to force yourself into those little 5-minute clips, but that's okay. That's okay. So Christy's got that in the chat. Go ahead and copy and paste that into a Facebook message. You don't have to so sometimes I can't Facebook message myself fast enough. I do that a lot, but sometimes my best friend's name is up there and I can cut and paste and pop it into hers, whatever you have open online. You might have a notepad, you might have a Word document, whatever, just copy and paste it somewhere. You don't have to send it, but then you have a minute once this call is over to get it to the place you want to get it to, to open up your Word document or whatever, and you can copy and paste it there. Because as soon as we end this, it'll go away. But we'll also post this in the group, okay? So your outcome is 2 things for today. You're gonna tell me or Christy, either one of us, we have a checklist, and everyone who attended, we check it off who's given it to us. So we know who to bug and who not to bug, okay? So your outcome is to send me your commitment with this attention activity. That's what it's called, attention activity. How many days this week, there's 7 days, starting tomorrow, Monday, are you going to commit to doing this 30-minute power block? And again, I know you already work out 30 minutes a day, at least a few times a week. And if you don't, you're going to this week. And so take one of those days. You have my permission to take one of those days and do this instead. You're still getting movement in, but you're also getting more of this, and that will make everything else better. Okay, so that's outcome number 1. You're going to tell me what your commitment is. And then number 2, the only other thing I want you to get used to when you do this, if you only give me 1 out of 7, that's fine, but I bet you'll want to do more than 1 out of 7 because it's just really powerful. And this teaches you how to be a freaking boss at life, and just take such control and ownership and empowerment over what you want. It's how you can have it all. It's how you can have fulfillment and purpose. The second thing is you're going to have to start teaching yourself to pause and to send out gratitude when these things happen, because you'll notice when you set up your day this way and when you envision your schedule and then it goes according to plan, but it feels amazing because you've already decided it, you've already envisioned it, and now it's happening, and it's happening at the rate you chose, and even better, your mind's going to be a little bit blown. And then you need to send out gratitude. You need to say thank you. You can send it out to a person. You can send it out just, you can say a quick prayer. You can send it out to the universe, but you need to send it out. Send out gratitude. Stop and pause and be like, thank you. That's exactly how I wanted to go. Or wow, I'm so blessed. That just happened to me, So get used to doing that. So this week, I want to see those commitments, and I want to see some gratitude statements, some realizations of, wow, I have a lot of power and I know how to harness it now, or at least I know the path to establish to get that working right. Okay, so I'm going to look at the chat and see if there's any questions, and then we're going to go ahead and end this call. But again, it will be posted. Okay, Christy's got the steps there. Hopefully everybody has time to copy that. And Christy has created a closet where everything hangs the same way. That does not surprise me at all. That's awesome. Do they have to be done in that order? That is an awesome, awesome question. So LaTanya, I'm going to unmute you and tell me a little bit more about that.
I was thinking, because my alarm is set for 6 a.m., but I lay in bed for a good amount of time and just kind of think about my day. So I was thinking, you know, when my alarm goes off, I can start this process and then do the 5-minute movement at the end. So that'll be my final thing when I start getting going for the day.
I love that. So I have another client that does that same thing. She lays in bed and does her meditation first, and then thinks about her schedule second. And that's what she's come to really notice works better for her. And the 5-minute at the end, the activity, then that just relieves all that from her mind. And it's actually a cutoff time where she's able to separate, I'm creating the day, you know, I'm empowering myself for the day, I'm moving, and then boom, let's go do it. So that works really well for her. That sounds like a great setup for you as well. So yes, adjusting that to fit you is great. The only thing, you know, you'd have to do there is just the same thing as if you're doing it in the order we listed. You do need to get used to using a timer and being true to your time, because what will fall off if you don't stick to it? You know, any way you write the list, something's going to fall off if you don't stick to that block, you know, if you only have that 30 minutes. So that's the only downside there, is to however you write your 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, you know that the one at the end is going to fall off if you don't stick to your time. So I know people who use egg timers because they don't want to get on media because the media distracts them. Or you can turn all of your notifications off like I do, and you never see anything until you have that blocked off to attend to. So that's another option there. So you don't get distracted by media because you control the media. So so LaTanya, that's a great question. And yes, you can arrange that the way you want. Just make sure you have the reason for that and stick to your time. Great question. Let me see if there's anything else. Oh, good job, Melissa. Color-coded and hangers hanging in the right direction. Okay, guys, awesome mindset coaching time for today. Again, this will be uploaded. I can't wait to see your commitments and can't wait to hear your experiences with it. Again, self-forgiveness, self-compassion, self-grace. Nothing's ever perfect the first time. Don't expect it to be. But I can't wait to see your experiences, and we'll talk to you guys soon. Bye.